this same day, September 26, 1987. And I love the fact that I have an easy way of remembering a new family member's birthday as well. In fact, they were both involved in similar activities throughout high school. Well, maybe a little less pronounced possible singing for Sunil, no doubt smaller misfortune, and a little more Indian club politics for my sister, again, to all our misfortune. They actually lived not from one another for the entirety of their formative high school years. But they didn't end up meeting until they both moved 600 miles away to Michigan for college. Avati tells me the first time she met Sunil, it was during their sophomore year when they both signed up for something called a gypsy dance. Now, I'm a big fan of the opera, and every time gypsies dance as part of a musical tableau, people get hurt. So I was a little surprised that that was the mise en scène for the first meeting. I think I heard for Sunil's version. Sunil tells me actually they met a year earlier, both as freshmen, when a mutual friend dropped by my sister Drew to introduce me to. My sister doesn't recall this ever happening, and she tried to test the veracity of Sunil's claim by asking him which side of the room her bed and her desk were. And apparently, according to her, he got the answer wrong. But as anyone who's ever driven in a car with my sister knows, she still has trouble telling left and right. And now they move on to the next and most defining stage of their respective and now collective lives, marriage. John Updike once described marriage as taking two people, locking them in a room, and forcing them to read the same lesson over and over again until the words become madness. Thank you, Mr. Updike. That'll be enough from you this evening. But I did want to bring up that quote because I think there is something we can draw from it. Specifically, I was trying to figure out what exactly that lesson was. And I wanted to share with you what I found. It actually hit me about 2 weeks ago when I went to the dentist. To kill the suspense, the lesson is not about the importance of flossing daily after meals and at bedtime, though that is a practice I wholeheartedly recommend. No, the lesson came to me as I was filling out my paperwork and had to list an emergency point of contact should my routine tooth cleaning have gone horribly wrong. And I'm so glad to tell you that it went fine. The lesson it struck me was just that marriage is being the other person's emergency contact for the rest of your lives. This is a bit of a cop, perhaps, but I think an apt example of how the bond which the wedding ring symbolizes is the strongest one that both of you will ever enter. Sunil, your name will now be listed as Avati's emergency point of contact for the rest of your life on every document and vice versa. And some of you may have noticed my parents sit up a little in their chair. That's because, yes, you guys are officially off the hook. Other responsibilities you can now pass along include anything related to that neon yellow go-kart that she calls a car, and one that I'm particularly excited about. Neither of us have to kill any bugs that make their nefarious ways into their line of sight. I really think I'm the right person to offer wisdom on what the lesson exactly is. But I do think that if ever two people were capable of learning this lesson, it would be Sunil and Avati. I've known Sunil for about 3 years now, and I have to say when I first met him, I was a little concerned. As Avati's older brother, and yes, 2 minutes older does count as older, I knew I should have been overprotective, in fact, of whatever boyfriend she had. And I was concerned because I couldn't find anything to hate about the guy. And it's still stunning to me that the same qualities that struck me about Sunil when I first met him have become even more salient in the 3 years that I've come to know him. I couldn't have hoped for someone more honest, caring, responsible, and let's face it, devilishly handsome. Last 24 3/4 years, through her being the constant and wise presence in mine and my family's and friends' lives, she's already earned that degree many times over. Many were the nights that I remember leaving work at 3 a.m. and wanting to complain or whine or just generally be some sort of talkative nuisance to someone. And naturally, the first person I called was my sister. And even though it was well past midnight her time, she never hung up. She sat through more lectures on the intricacies of the financial world than I'm sure she cares to remember either. And it's just that patience and the fact that she still takes all my calls whenever, that, you know, I think if ever two people were going to learn this lesson, it would be the two of them. And I think they would view this bond of marriage actually not as a lesson to be learned over and over until dissolving into madness, but I think they would rather view marriage as what Henry David Thoreau once exhorted us to do. An invitation to renew themselves and their commitment completely each day, again and again, and forever again. It may perhaps have been too ambitious for me to hope that there would be no dry eyes in the house at the end of this speech. Let us at least ensure that there will be no dry lips. I ask you all to raise your glasses, and as we make this toast, I ask you to think not just of Upbeats and Sunil's future, what Tennyson called their golden morning of love, but to reflect more broadly